Welcome back to the Noah Presgrove case. We got some very interesting findings and developments today from the eyes of Kaden Pressy in what he's had to say in recent time. I tried looking for it on Facebook. It was difficult to locate, but thankfully, credit to the Reddit page, they were able to get a hold of the screenshots and conversations there. It's to do with Kaden Pressy at the time of the party, what he saw in which when it came to Jack Newton, in which Jack claimed he passed out, he went to sleep, that was actually a lie. And that Jack was actually awake along with others, including Noah, around the time of when Noah was going to leave the party. It'll become a lot clearer very shortly because I'm going to show you the proof of it and what Kaden has had to say firsthand from him witnessing what happened at the party. And maybe to some people this could turn everything all upside down and it can reinforce certain points. And I also want to apply this back to my map analysis. It was a fairly deep one to begin with at the time of when I did it, first time round, but I didn't go too all in with the timestamps and all the events and claims because it didn't quite add up. Switching and changing, it would be a bit of a mess. And what it seems to be, from my common sense, and at the time of when I was less informed on the case, I was possibly on the right track from the beginning, even when I didn't hear of this, and some of this wasn't even talked about until now. So this is very interesting in terms of my mindset and where I'm at within the case, and hopefully it will become a lot more clearer to you as well. Welcome to those who are currently here in this live premiere to do with the Noah Presgrove case, and welcome to everybody else that are just simply watching in the background, and maybe some that are lurking in the darkness. Feel free to share your thoughts, opinions and reactions on today's video and what Kaden has had to say recently and everything being turned upside down despite what Jack has stated in the past. Let me know what you think, whether you agree, whether you trust it or not, and share your reactions. If you do wish to elaborate or you got some additional questions, leave them under this video and I or someone else can respond back to them at a later point. In addition, down below you will find a pinned comment by me with some additional links if you want to support this channel. If you want further context behind some of that as well and my channel at this moment in time, make sure to head on over to my channel page, click on the community tab section and check my latest post out. It's where I share with you my current thoughts on YouTube, the channel, my direction, my vision and all of that. Somewhat detailed, make sure to check it out if you haven't already. And in relation to the Noah Presgrove case, if you need to catch up on my recent videos, you see the I symbol top right corner of the screen, click on that, you'll be able to find the Noah Presgrove's playlist, which I've pieced together from my videos, and even a link to some of my videos from yesterday, which was looking at official statements from the likes of Caleb Newton, Jack Newton's father, SH, also known as Stevie Howard, the female, the mother, the homeowner, the mother of Carter Combs and Avery Combs, and what she's had to say in the past. And also an official statement by Kaden, which was interesting as well. Supposedly in the background, Kaden may have been alienated, casted aside. Kaden as well feels like they're being gaslighted by the likes of SH, also known as Stevie Howard. Seems to be a weird situation. I think if I had to summarize it, what it seems to be is humans, people within the case community, are skeptical of SH for good reason because of their attitude and how they've behaved. That humans are skeptical of Caleb Newton because of being the parent of Jack Newton. People are skeptical of Jack Newton because of his stories and information constantly changing. And then when looking back at Caleb, going along with it possibly, and Caleb's involvement with unrelated bad things in the past, suspicion there. We'll get to that news article at a later point, be on the lookout for it. Anyone else people are suspicious of? Maybe such as Isaac because of holding that rifle in the background of the party footage. Things like that. As for Carter Combs, Avery Combs, suspicion there, especially with Carter Combs because of the relationship to Jack Newton and the relationship breaking up, supposedly, as it's stated publicly. Is that some kind of elaborate plan? Who knows? Out of all of it, though, the one person people seem to look up to more and haven't questioned as much and feel that a certain person's been more genuine and sincere, that would be Kaden Pressy, one of the friends of Noah Presgrove. At this moment in time, a 20-year-old, as they claim, so maybe depending on the birthday when it falls in 2023, around 19 years of age, I guess. Possibly the same age as Noah Presgrove, right? If Noah's 19 back then. So friends, close friends, whatever you want to call it. As for Kaden's story, people seem to believe in more and there's not as many contradictions made there. And I guess because of that, as a direct or indirect side effect, if you want to call it that, with Kaden, he's kind of been pushed away. I think I saw a post on Facebook where he said no one contacts or reaches out to me anymore. So it's like Kaden's been casted aside because he's told the truth, and maybe the other partygoers and friends aren't too happy with that. Whilst some may have stuck together with a certain story and others tried but failed to do so, Kaden is his own person with his own mind and a witness himself to what he saw at the time, which could be seen as refreshing, breath of fresh air. Well, we're going to take a look at that today. We're going to look at his actual response, the comments as well. It's kind of short, but it is sweet, and it can be applied to the maps. So appreciate your patience. Make sure not to go anywhere because it's only getting started. Without further ado, let's get straight into the latest reply by Kaden. Here we are. This was posted 13 hours ago. So because of time zone difference, it would have been late on into the night before I could actually record my video. And take in mind, I already did 3 videos yesterday, which was more than enough in coverage. But right now, this is titled or captioned, Well, 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 which sounds very intriguing. Just one slide from the looks of it. Do we need to zoom in? It should be clear enough on screen, but if for whatever reason it's not, here you go. Start from the top. You're wondering why names are blanked out. That's because of the policy on Reddit. But I can say with great confidence that the profile picture with the cross within it is definitely Kaden Pressy, because if you go on Facebook and search his name, you will find it. And this is the Kaden Pressy. I can say with 100% confidence and certainty. Just in case you're a bit skeptical of the names being hidden, if you go search for yourself, you will find the account. The reason why I'm looking at it from Reddit is this has been sourced out from the comment section of a post on Facebook in which I tried looking for, but I wasn't able to locate because there are so many posts on Facebook and so many comments. Like when looking at one of them, I think more so in recent time, there was 500 responses. That's insane. So it shows how active and intense this situation is within the case. So credit to the people from Reddit that were able to source it out and repost it here. It kind of like filters the things out along the way, so it's a lot easier to manage. On Facebook, there's too many people, too many conversations. On the Reddit page, a bit of a smaller community, but it's a bit more controlled and clearer, which is very good. So a person said, "Hey Kaden, I do have a question for you, if you don't mind answering." Kaden replies, "Yes, sir." And I don't know why that bit's blanked out, maybe to do with names. But then the next one says, "If I recall correctly, you claimed, Kaden, that Jack Newton came into the house at approximately 5:15 a.m. on September 4th, 2023, the Monday, to announce that Noah Presgrove, being deceased, died, right? Do you recall Jack Newton ever going to sleep at all at the party?" And that's being quite open. At any point, Kaden, do you recall seeing or hearing about Jack Newton going to sleep? And the key response is by Kaden is, Jack Newton was awake when I went to sleep about 3 in the morning on September 4th, in the house with everyone else awake, including Noah Presgrove. So that's very interesting, that. As for Kaden, why was Kaden going to sleep around 3 in the morning? Because he had a bit too much to drink. Now, it's not mentioned here. I don't know if I'll be able to find it on another post, but I'll just say it right now as a little heads up. On Facebook, in a different conversation post, Kaden mentioned that Noah Presgrove reached out to him. Noah reached out to Kaden for a lift back home. Kaden didn't give Noah a lift back home because Kaden was a bit drunk and didn't want to get in trouble with the highway patrol, with the police in the area, for drunk and disorderly, kind of drunk driving over the limit. So it's quite responsible for Kaden to, be concerned of his own safety and others. So he is responsible. He's not reckless. So he decides to sleep it off at the party, early hours of the Monday, 3 a.m. in the morning of Monday, the same day when Noah dies or possibly murdered, the same day when Jack Newton claimed to be asleep around the time of when Noah was leaving the party for the final time. Okay? So that is very interesting, because what Kaden mentions here is complete opposite of what the likes of Jack Newton has stated. Okay? So if we put aside the 5:15 a.m. timestamp, it's what's happened before that, right? We heard about the timestamp of 3:30 a.m. when Noah Presgrove left the party. So around that time and a bit before that, was Jack, in the presence of Noah, ever asleep? And from what Kaden says, no. So if Jack is awake, is alert, and around Noah, does it reinforce the chances that when Noah left, did Jack follow after? It makes you think. And it kind of falls back in line with my original map analysis, if you remember. Okay? So, what's the responses? I don't know why that stupid promotion's shown up down there. Get lost. Here we go. Be kind. So, we finally have corroboration that Noah Presgrove was alive at 3 in the morning because he was around at the party at that time with the likes of Jack Newton. And at that time, Kaden was present too, just about to fall off to sleep from the looks of it. Seems to be the case. Now, as for me, although I've not been around long enough, I was already assuming from the recent timestamps that Noah was alive at 3 a.m. in the morning, and it was 3:30 when he decided to leave. So I was already under that understanding. Maybe other people in the community that have been around longer and heard other stories in the past, they're a bit confused and they need some kind of reinforcement, consistency, so we know what's what. So it seems to be reinforcing the situation. In response, though, this person says, and besides that Noah was alive at 3 in the morning on a Monday at the party, that Jack Newton wasn't asleep before 3 a.m., I guess as Jack Newton claimed. Now, I can't remember the exact time what Jack said. Did he say like 2 a.m.? Oh, I went to sleep, I slept in, and at around 5 something in the morning, that's when I woke up and made that call with the father about the fishing trip. I mean, it depends what point of view you look at it. Maybe we can apply it later on in this video to tie back in with, at least from what Caleb Newton, the father of Jack, was stating, because we did have a look at that recently. Powerful Holiday says, I knew it that Jack was lying. He was awake the whole night. He knew Noah was dead by 4 and last seen him at 3. Snap, Noah is missing in action at 3:41. That's a reference to a post on Snapchat by another partygoer known as Jasmine Milan. a female, who basically posted a photo of herself with the caption, "Noah is missing." And supposedly that Snapchat was posted at 3:41, and let's say, what would we say, like 11 minutes earlier, Noah left the party. And in the background, we heard talks of the reason why he left at that time and on foot, because no one was going to give him a ride back, is because of an argument with Jack, supposedly. Now, with Jack saying in the past, well, I've been asleep earlier on, so I wouldn't have seen much going on, that would have ruled out the argument between Jack and Noah. But for Kaden, recently, to say he witnessed seeing Jack awake and Noah, not only does it reinforce that Noah was alive still at that time early on in the morning of Monday at the party, but Jack was awake and alert as well, which then it reinforces that around that time, 30 minutes later, probably still likely awake, meaning at that time when Noah did leave, that Jack could have followed after, and more likely for that argument to have happened to cause, I guess, Noah to distance himself and get away from the place. Because if we're saying that Jack had an argument of falling out with Noah for the second time round, which led to Noah to leave, providing that Jack was awake at that time, which it's proven here by Kaden, then it's more likely for that argument to happen. Because if we was to refer back to if Jack was asleep, well then that argument couldn't have happened because Jack was asleep. But that's not the case here, because Kaden has gone against that from what he saw with his own eyes at the time. Jack was awake. Noah was alive and at the party and awake. And everyone else was as well. So you could possibly say with Kaden being out of it, out for the count, sleeping, innocent for most part of it. Would you agree? As for everybody else, still up for debate, I guess. Let's just continue reading the post here. So about the Noah missing in action, which means there's a long time Noah left the house, almost 1 hour, so people started to notice. Noah died, by the way, 3 to 4 a.m, unless big plot twist, Kaden is lying. Presumption of innocence. Jack was really asleep and what happened was, by the way, 2 and 5 a.m. Right, so how that person's worded it there is a bit messy, but I think they're just sharing an alternative reality. Just not so you don't get confused. Let's check the rest of the comments out. Roller. Jack Newton's timeline is literally all over the place. Not ideally what you're looking for. Just, what if he was hit whilst sleeping then? Somehow his skull, neck and shoulder blades brutalised beyond recognition. What did it? What if he was hit whilst sleeping? Who's he? Kaden? Because Kaden was sleeping? Are we talking about Jack sleeping? Are we talking about Noah sleeping and beaten in his sleep? I don't know, that seems a bit random, that comment there. Nan replies, the missing golf clubs? Stole. I'm so sorry, keeping reading about good of clubs but haven't seen anything by the LE, law enforcement. Maybe I keep missing it. Sorry, what? Yeah, I think there's a breakdown in communication here, to be honest. Yeah, definitely. Puzzle. But where would he be sleeping? Who is he? Are we talking about Noah Presgrove at the time of when he had that shower and shortly afterwards he wanted to sleep in one of the girls' beds? Is that what we're talking about here? Are we suggesting that Noah did sleep in one of the girls' beds, either by himself or with one of the girls, and someone came along and saw it, such as Jack, got jealous, and then beat Noah up in his sleep? Well, then surely there would have been a commotion in the house. If we were saying that Kaden went to sleep around that time, and he wasn't in a deep sleep, and other people were around, maybe in on it, but they also witnessed it. Some may have been screaming. You know, if it was within the house at least, based off this theory and concept, which I'm trying to interpret on the spot, the commotion, the noise, if there was a beating an ambush whilst Noah was asleep and Jack was beating him up in his sleep. Surely there'd be a noise, there'd be people screaming, a commotion, which would be enough to wake Kaden up. So Kaden didn't mention anything about a commotion or a beating in the house or anything like that, so likely it didn't happen. Anyway, what's this? But where would Noah Presgrove be sleeping? Avery Combs allegedly didn't want him in her room. Would he sleep outside somewhere? Broken says, I don't believe that for a second. Noah was the kind that could get any girl he wanted. Really? The version I believe is he called her a fat, nasty beep. Okay. My question is, why would he call his ex like this? His family said he used to date her, and it appears all his girlfriends were chubby. Okay, that's a bit random that. I've not heard that one before. We had heard in the official news articles it was stated that Noah had a girlfriend at the time of the party, but the family is saying that that wasn't the case at that time. And what's mentioned here is that supposedly he did date someone from the party in the past, which was Avery Combs. Now, there would have been a bit of an age difference. How far back in the past, I wonder? A year ago, 2 or 3, because then Noah could possibly be underage when Avery is of the age of an adult. Interesting. Anyway, do we have anything else here? So let's just say, if Noah did call Avery Combs a fat, nasty beep, would it have triggered Avery? Would it have made her upset? And who would have, got justice? That sounds silly, that, but, some people either may stand up for another female, but it's a male, and they might do it because they want to gain favour, or they want to be a white knight or something. Or if it's just a normal situation of a friend sticking up for another friend, would it resort to extreme violence? I don't think so. It seems a bit over the top, that. And who would stick up for Avery Combs? See, if it was a situation where it was Carter Combs and let's just say the body shape was reversed and Noah said to Carter, I don't like you, or I don't want to sleep with you because you're fat, okay? And Carter got upset or triggered by it and then ran to boyfriend at the time, Jack Newton. That could have angered Jack, and then that would have been a motive for Jack to do something to Noah because of the build-up of tension along the way at the party, the frustration, the possible jealousy, and all kinds of emotions mixed with alcohol, being drunk, possibly enraged. Yeah, that would be more justified. Not that it's the right thing to do, but in the eyes of Jack, it would, defending his girlfriend's honour and respect, whatever you want to call that. But when it comes to Avery Combs, well, Jack isn't connected to Avery, not from what I'm aware of, so I don't see why Jack would be too triggered by it to then take it out on Noah when he's not as emotionally connected to Avery as he is to Carter. So just wanted to clear that up. Nevertheless, Power says, my question is, why would he call his ex like this? His family said he used to date. Yeah, we saw that. Sounds like everyone was on couches and the floors. Yeah, it makes sense because there's probably going to be so many bedrooms there. But you know what I want to highlight is, if the parents weren't there at the time of the party, okay, people are sleeping on couches, in some of the bedrooms, on the floors. But what about those 2 other properties, the one at the top of the street and the one down at the bottom where there's a trailer? Why did none of the party goers go to any of those buildings to sleep in if no one else was there at the time of the party? You get what I'm saying? It would make more sense to sleep in an alternative property in an actual bed or trailer than it is to sleep on the floor inside of the main house. I wonder. Power says, INTK. What the hell does that mean? At what time others say that Noah walked off the place angry and never came back? Right, okay, I get that. Person responds this, yes, because from 3:41, the Snapchat from Jasmine Milan claiming Noah is missing from the party, he had from 3 to 3:41 a.m. to walk away from the party and actively go missing if Kaden Pressy, also known as KP, timeline is correct. And honestly, I believe that kid. The thing is, he's the only person in the house who sticks to this scenario. Everyone else assures Jack Newton was asleep, but it really doesn't matter if he was sleeping or awake in his bed. What matters is why they are contradicting each other's about Noah being in the house. Yes, makes no sense. He was either there or he wasn't. Well, this is the thing. You can be inside of the house, but out of sight, in a different room, hiding or just out of place. People may think you're missing. You could be in the back garden when everyone else is inside. You could be at the front of the house on the outside, near to the property, and people presume that you're missing, right? Just little details like that. I'll reiterate from my timeline on the map analysis. It's very basic, but I think it's a lot more simplified, and we'll get to that shortly. I think it's needed. Joe, very interesting. Have any details about Jack's polygraph test been released? I've only heard what he said about it, and he suggests he passed, not a firm confirmation. Was it done by Ellie? Was it requested by Ellie? And if so, was he singled out for the polygraph and no one else? Was it performed by someone not related to him or any of the party goers? Okay. We've not heard anything more about the polygraph, but just to reiterate from Jack's point of view of what he said himself. Yeah, it's from what he said, from what she said. You know what that's starting to sound like? The Dylan Rounds case. And we know how people in the community reacted to that. Oh yeah, from what Candice Cooley said, people got triggered by it. And maybe it was a bit unfair and abrupt at times. Though when it comes to this case with Noah Presgrove, maybe it's more understandable. Probably more contradictions made by Jack Newton than the likes of Candice Cooley in the Dylan Rounds case. I think that's a fair point to make. So, just to reiterate from what Jack was highlighting himself, he took a polygraph test, for most part of it, the reason being that his phone pinging near to Noah's body. And at a certain time earlier on in the day, could be good reason as to why police would question Jack. You know, if you're there at the scene earlier on, what did you see? What did you hear? Are you responsible? Are you a person of interest? You would be treated as that if you was the last person to have seen the victim moments before or after the death of them. So that would explain that in fairness. As for the questions on the polygraph test, Jack did say he passed. As for the questions, what were they about? Wasn't revealed. But this is all influenced by the phone pings, and that's all it was about. Well, okay, I guess it's self-explanatory. Upon passing, Jack also said that he was told by the cops the reasoning behind the phone pinging in the wrong area, when he was nowhere near there at that time, from what's been said previously, it's all down to having a bad signal. Not zero signal, not no signal, but a poor signal, poor quality, on and off, intermittent, that type of thing, which ends up giving the wrong location. How true is that? I don't know, because I've not really looked into phone pings that much. I mean, when it came to the Dylan Rounds case, when they were going through the phone pings, it was very specific, the actual areas where Dylan was at the time with his phone. And it wasn't all through phone calls or messages like that. Phone pings can come from apps on your devices, which uses location, the weather app, maybe social media, you know, things like that. And in the Dylan Rounds case, at first, the phone ping or the signal, the tower in the area pinged off a rough estimate of a radius of Dylan's phone. The radius being 15.4 miles each way, northeast, southwest, to complete that radius. Does that have anything to do or anything similar with the Noah Presgrove case and Jack's phone? Might be a small chance. Let's continue reading that. Just says, wait, Noah Presgrove was asleep at 3 a.m.? In response, no, that's not the case. This, what's mentioned by Kaden, states Noah Presgrove and Jack Newton were up, alive, awake at 3 a.m. in the morning on Monday, September 4th, when another partygoer went to sleep. The partygoer going to sleep around that time was Kaden. Okay? And last but not least, appropriate. I thought Noah wrecked the ATV at 3 in the morning. We don't know if there's even a wreck on the ATV. Yeah. So we'll check the responses there because that is a fair point to be made. From Noah wrecking his ATV to then being showered and washed and then wanting to sleep in a girl's room to then having an argument and then leaving from 3 to 3:30, 30 minutes, all that would have happened. Would there have been enough time for all that to happen? Possibly, if it was kind of rushed, I guess. And this is to do with the Monday when the ATV flipped over. Now, it could be a little bit outdated on my map analysis because I think I worded it as Sunday. But there's good reason to why there would be a misunderstanding there because of how it's been worded on other official news articles. It's not always been that specific. Take in mind that, partying over the weekend, partying on a Sunday night, going on into the early hours of the morning of Monday. So that bit of overlap, that in between, like really late on Sunday going into Monday, that's when the car flipped. So bit of give and take, okay, with timing. So Chemist replies and says, in honesty, when I've drank at wild parties here in the Midwest, we don't look at clocks, so even their timing is suspicious. Okay. So you're saying it's suspicious that people are alert and aware of time when they should be more focused on having a good time and being drunk. Right. Altruistic says, yes, but people are also attached to cell phones, so it's not necessarily the biggest deal of you aren't looking at clocks on the wall, because you do have clocks on your phone, and that's how you can tell the time digitally, so there's that. But what has always been apparent to me is that Jack Newton seems to be lying. You can't tell multiple versions of events and all of them to be true. Fair point. Oh, damn, what's this? Even with cell phone, I might put the phone down a few hours if I'm entrenched in an activity. Think that might be the case this night. Also take in mind, you might be having a party, but how full on is the party? If there's a few games and you're chilling out or you're hanging out with people talking, you sat down, a bit relaxed, depending how wild it is, you might have more time to look at your phone. It depends how distracted you are at the time. So we just scroll back down because obviously it's kicked me off as it always does. Really good to see. Right. Okay. Moving on. Powerful. But what if Jack Newton really went to sleep at 2 in the morning, but after the incident someone woke him up at 3 in the morning because of the accident? He could have stayed so. Right, are we going a bit off topic here, or? And what accident? Could have stayed so, could have stated. He could have stated, if it was the case. He should have stated more so. Because this person appropriate is saying, no, not appropriate, the one below it, Power. If, with Power suggesting that, what if Jack was actually going to sleep at 2, but then he woke up later at 3 because of the accident being the ATV flipping over, I guess. Whether it be the noise that woke him up or people at the party alerting him, maybe. But if Kaden only went to sleep at around 3 in the morning at the time of this supposed accident, then before that, Kaden would have been awake. And like how that person on Facebook asked Kaden, at any point at the party, did Jack Newton go to sleep? And Kaden said no. That's pretty clear cut, that, isn't it? My only question would be, if it was Kaden then who fell asleep at 3 in the morning, and that's around the time of that accident where the ATV flipped over, how come he wasn't alerted by it then? How come no one waked him up then? Does anyone know as to why? Is it because Kaden was in such a deep sleep because of being drunk? Or did no one want to wake him up? That's what I want to know, right? Let me know your thoughts there. And this is the important thing that we need to be clear of, because there could be a misunderstanding when people talk about the accident and then people talk about the death of Noah. They're two separate things. Let's head on over to the maps and I'll make it a bit more clearer. So on screen, we got the map. Now, for some people that are new to my channel, just come across my videos first time and wonder what's going on here, be sure to look back on one of my previous videos in my playlist, because I have done an explanation video labeling the markers and how one thing could have led to the other in terms of the events building up. This time round, we're focusing on the Kaden situation. Now, whilst I might not have the marker on, as for the people at the party, house-to-house party, I believe you got the Texas boys there, you got Carter Combs, Avery Combs, you got Brylan Sweat, you got Noah Presgrove, you got Jack Newton, you got Kaden Pressy. There's some talk in the background that you had Caleb Newton, the father, there as well, but I don't know how truthful that is because I've not seen enough proof of that yet. And of course, you'll have other party goers and other friends. You got Jasmine Milan as well. Take in mind, I can't remember everybody's names and there might be some initials that I have missed out on. But you get the idea. A range of people present, of course. As for when people started leaving, that is supposedly after Noah went missing, right? And this is yet another thing that we need to understand. Noah going missing didn't cause any concern within people. When people started leaving, they weren't leaving after Noah's presence being lost because they were trying to search for him like a missing person. No, they were just leaving the party at that time because they wanted to. But it is interesting, if you treat it as a cat and mouse game, if Noah leaves first, who follows behind him and how far apart are they in distance, right? So there will be some misconceptions and misunderstandings. One being Noah is missing, as joked about by Jasmine Milan. And I think we'll need to do a separate video on that very soon at some point, just to look back over that point, because there is context behind it, but I need to add my thoughts as well. So around 3:30 when Noah left, 3:41 Jasmine Milan comments about it on social media, but laughing and smiling, not in the way, oh, Noah's missing, where's he gone? Missing person report, we need to look for him. No, it was, oh, lol, Noah's missing, he's missing out at the party. It's kind of like that tone, nothing too serious. People didn't think much of it. And those that might have been present to witness Noah leave, that was supposedly because of an argument, right? We'll get to it bit by bit. As for the accident, right? When I hear accident, I'm thinking, right, ATV. But maybe other people are thinking, oh, are we saying accident, incident? Is this somehow to do with the death of Noah Presgrove? No, it's two separate events. But there are people in the community that have been associating the accident of the ATV tipping over with the death of Noah Presgrove and then the showering of Noah to clean off evidence. So people have tried merging the two events together. That can cause confusion within other people that are following the timeline. So I'm going to do my best now to clear things up as we go along. Make sure to listen in. So you got the party. To set the scene, we're specifically focusing on early hours of Monday, Labor Day, 2023, September 4th. The party still ongoing. Most, if not all, still awake. except for Kaden, who's about to drift off to sleep around 3 in the morning. So that's a timestamp what we're looking at right now, locking in. Around 3 in the morning, party house, Kaden present along with the others, Kaden about to go to sleep. Witnesses, the likes of Jack Newton, one of the main people in the case, still awake, even though Jack Newton claimed to be asleep earlier on and was asleep for some time. Well, Kaden thinks different. Kaden saw different. Jack awake. Noah Presgrove awake. 3 in the morning, Monday, September 4th. Very important that. What followed after that, though, when then Kaden went to sleep? Supposedly the ATV incident, I believe. How it was worded on the Daily Mail, they made it sound like it happened on a Sunday. But in terms of within the case, the communities out there, the informal ones, people have been saying it happened early hours of Monday. So around 3 a.m. Okay, if that was the case. As for the location of it, I previously suggested, was it along this purple line? Do you know where you see the dirt road driving up and down and then possibly turning here to flip? But how it was worded by one individual, I think it might have been Jack Newton himself, so you could be skeptical of that. But despite Jack possibly lying and contradicting himself, there must be a little bit of truth in something he says, even if it's so insignificant. So as for the location of the ATV tipping over, Jack said it was round the back of the house, so somewhere here. Do you know, like where I've got that purple marker? Can we see any track marks? Well, do you know what? We can actually see some track marks. Might be a bit hard to see, but they do connect on to, I think, maybe the road, or it's like a donut. Does that have anything to do with the party? No, because this satellite imagery was updated as of June 4th, 2024. So this is more up to date now and less to do with the party at the time in 2023. So we're not going to get any clues or marks by track marks on ground because it would be outdated. Okay? And this is more updated, so not relevant. But in terms of the area, what it appears to be, correct me if I'm wrong, is there a fence line? That black line, is that a fence line which connects onto the property? And then maybe there's a gate there because you can see the track marks that go around. Well, go for it. And I can see some kind of outline, perimeter. Could be a fence line of the property. And then surrounding land, maybe there's quite a bit of land, to be fair. But yeah, if the ATV flipped on its side, outside, in the backyard, you see all the grass about, not much obstructions, not many objects in the way supposedly, so there is that fair chance that not much damage would be done to the vehicle, but getting a bit dirty and dusty, I don't know, does that sound a bit over-exaggerated? I mean, someone that's walking along a pathway hiking who may fall over or have a tumble down a bit of a hill, providing it's not wet, providing it's not muddy, it's just a bit dusty. Have you not heard the statement, dust yourself off and get back up and keep on going? Getting a bit of dust on you brushes off. It can blow off in the wind. Why do you need a shower because of that? Take in mind, at the time of this ATV accident, which wasn't fatal, which didn't kill anyone from how the story has gone by most of the people and how it's been worded within the case in the news, whilst no one got hurt or killed, it probably would have annoyed people, okay? Noah driving a bit recklessly, tipping it over, other guys being in the vehicle at the time could have shocked them, could have frustrated them. You know, it's a fair point. It can happen. When it's out of your control and you've got to put the responsibility and trust into the driver, if they mess up and they're not being responsible, maybe not taking accountability, yeah, it can trigger a wave of frustration and possible anger. Pair that with alcohol, not too good. And you'd think, just the noise itself tipping over, the reaction from people at the house possibly witnessing it, right? You know what people can be like. People may be shocked and scream. People may be hyped up by it and say, whoa, that's cool, and cheering or shouting. It could be whatever. right? Could Avery have got triggered? Oh, what are you doing in the backyard? Shouldn't be doing that. Just like how she was supposedly telling Isaac off, saying, no, you can't be shooting outside. It's too close to things and people. So it could have triggered a reaction, whether it be round the back of the house or at the front of the property. What I'm saying is, with that happening, why did Kaden not get alerted by it? Unless the incident or the accident happened right at the time or just before him going to sleep. That's all I could think of. But I've not seen any additional posts yet clarifying or clearing that bit up. But if anyone else does know about that, let me know. Did the ATV accident happen just after Kaden went asleep or just before? Because if it's after, I'm just surprised Kaden wasn't woken up by it. Unless he was and it's just not been mentioned or I've not found it yet. But nevertheless, accident, ATV flipping over, Noah in the driver's seat, gets out or is already fallen out. And then escorted into the house, into the bathroom to be showered, cleaned down by a group of females or a guy. Because wasn't that long ago, I can't remember where it was now, on Facebook or Reddit, I'm sure it mentioned that BS washed him down. And as we know now, BS is a male, also known as Brylan Sweat. Bit of an unusual last name, but called Brylan Sweat, who we saw in the house party footage where they were outside and Noah was asking to be slapped by Brylan, right? Messing around, play fighting, possibly, but you get who I'm referring to there. So was it Brylan Sweat that washed Noah down in the shower, or was it a female or females? And the reason why I question it so much is because it just seems so weird, right? There were other guys in the vehicle at the ATV when it tipped over. If Noah is going to get dirty or dusty, surely the other people in the vehicle are as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. If that was the case, if Noah is going to get washed down, then why didn't the other guys? Is it because they didn't want to? They weren't that bothered? So why should Noah be given the special treatment? Why should Noah be cleaned down? Is it because he was vulnerable? Is it because people thought they could care for him and help him, but not in a corrupt way then? I wonder. Noah being drunk, supposedly, from the alcohol records report, autopsy. You call it toxicology, I think. Was it 0.14, so over the limit? Okay. Drunk driving, but on the property, still dangerous, tipping over, not in the best shape, drunk. But why do you need to be cleaned down, though? Is it like, okay, we'll clean you down, you're clearly out for the count, you need to wash off, you need to clean up, sober up, go to sleep, and call it a day? Obviously that didn't happen from the accounts and the way it played out. So, yes, I do find the ATV incident and the whole washing scenario a little bit weird. And this is the event people in the community were trying to associate with the death of Noah Presgrove by saying, what if the ATV tipped over, Noah died, and then the friends and the partygoers decided to take him to the shower and clean off any evidence? Well, if it's a simple ATV incident where Noah did it to himself accidentally and it was an accident, then all the partygoers and friends had to do was call the police or the ambulance. That's it. They didn't need to clean him down of any evidence because there shouldn't be any foul play involved when he's done it to himself. By partygoers cleaning him down of evidence would mean incriminating the investigation and tampering with the body, which could get you in trouble in some way. It's like you're making yourself responsible for the death of someone, even though originally it wasn't your fault to begin with and you never laid a hand on him. So it seems a bit silly, that. So it doesn't seem likely. That's my counterpoint to the theory people have been claiming, okay? Because they were saying Noah was driving it. And if Noah was driving it and Noah crashed it, and if he did die in that moment, that's on him. He had the responsibility of driving. He was one that decided to drink and drive. That's on him with that situation. But from the looks of it, from the injury report, like how we said, it was unlikely that he was involved in some kind of car accident or being hit by one, etc. So it kind of rules out that. Not saying that it rules out that the ATV being flipped over never happened. It could have possibly happened, but it wasn't the causation of Noah's death. And whilst that might seem like common sense to other people out there, maybe viewers on my channel, I just wanted to clarify points which have been talked about elsewhere with alternative theories and ideas. I don't think those theories and ideas would have happened. That's like my point of view. Okay. So, okay. Kaden, falling asleep at 3 a.m. ATV incident has happened. Noah's taken to the bathroom, showered down by someone or some people, then wanting to sleep in one of the girls' bedrooms. That's how it's been worded with one of the girls, but it's never been worded like that as for the official articles. Let's be clear there. But if that was the case, rejection, and then Noah wasn't too pleased because of that. If there's that talk about calling Avery a fat beep, is there a chance that Noah wanted to sleep in Carter Combs' bedroom first, was rejected, and then decided, the only other option I've got is her. I'm not going anywhere near her. And then that's what led to some insults. As said, if Avery was insulted, Carter would probably look out for Avery, considering they're sisters. Anyway, in between all of that, was there any flirting? Was there any more so tension and disagreements? Because from the story I heard, just after the shower, and just when Noah was wanting to sleep in one of the girls' bedrooms due to that rejection, he felt frustrated by it. He felt frustrated by rejection. If we really wanted to tie in the observation by people in the community that, when it comes to Noah, he can get any girl he wants. Well, if he's so used to getting what he wants, how does he react when he doesn't get what he wants, right? So if he gets rejected the first time round, or the first time in a long while at the party, not being allowed to sleep with someone or in their room, Noah doesn't know how to take that rejection. Does he get triggered by it, frustrated? Is he like, hey man, I normally get what I want. I can't believe this. Doesn't do anything bad to anyone, but just simply storms off. You know that situation? Don't cause much harm. It's just that the person can't seem to process what's just happened. They've been rejected. They've been turned down an offer. How could that happen? Don't you know who I am? Now, is that an ego? Well, yeah. Am I saying that Noah's got one? No, because I don't know enough about Noah Presgrove because I've not been around him. Okay, I'm just making that very clear. I know there's people directly in the case and those who know Noah that would get triggered if anyone said anything bad about Noah Presgrove. I'm aware of that, so I'm being careful with language and wording. But I'm trying to make sense of the supposed events that followed from 3 a.m. in the morning onwards, which then would have led and the catalyst behind why Noah left. And it seems to tie back to my original map analysis, whether it's directly through those girls, a disagreement, a misunderstanding, some kind of flirting gone wrong, Jack Newton seeing it, or throughout the night hearing about it, catching on, jealousy, alcohol, bit drunk, bit frustrated, awake at the time, even though he said he wasn't, because Kaden saw it. There's a possibility around 3 a.m. up to 3:30 a.m. Only a 30-minute period of crashing the ATV, having a wash, wanting to sleep in the girl's bedroom, being rejected, some confrontation possibly, some frustration, Jack Newton getting involved and having it out with him, possibly. Take in mind, on the Saturday, when Noah first got down to the party, I think it was already ongoing because it started on Friday, because it was described as a 4-day party. From Friday to Monday, Noah got involved with the party on a Saturday, if you remember. And on that Saturday, later on into the day, there was an argument between Noah Presgrove and his best friend Jack Newton, which then ultimately led to Noah leaving the property. Leaving. right? And making it home safely. And on that Saturday, when he made it to the party and when he left, he had his own vehicle. On the Sunday, he was invited back by Jack Newton. Now take in mind, Jack doesn't own the house. And the party isn't about Jack, it's Avery Combs. It just goes to show that the argument, the falling out, must have been bad enough for Noah to want to leave the party on a Saturday, despite everyone else being around, his other friends and other people having fun. Is it because Noah was impacted that badly by whatever argument was going on at the time with Jack Newton? Is it because Noah didn't want to cause an atmosphere or ruin the party for anybody else? You get what I'm saying? Because if you think about it, if you're at a party and there's like 20 people and 19 of them are okay and it's a good time, that one person who you know, close or more, friends or not quite, and you have a falling out with, are you going to leave that party just because of one person you don't like? Or are you going to stay around, ignore that one person and have fun with the 19 other friends? In Noah Presgrove's case, with how many people were at the party, that one friend, Jack Newton, and that one argument was more than enough to cause Noah to leave the party. Isn't that somewhat significant? I want to know your thoughts on that. For it to happen a repeated time as well. It's not the first, is it? Saturday, left because of an argument. Invited back on Sunday by Jack. Isn't it weird how it was Jack saying, hey, we'll invite you over to come back? It's not even Jack's house. To say, all right, we'll invite you back. Do you actually have the final decision making, Jack? Shouldn't it be Avery Combs or Carter Combs, because they're the ones that live at the house? And as for Avery, it's her birthday, her party, so shouldn't she have the final decision, right? Maybe it would have been confirmed anyway in the background, but as for context, it's been worded as Jack invited Noah back, which is a bit weird. But as for inviting Noah back, I guess it was a means of apologising without actually apologising, possibly, because I don't remember hearing anything about anyone saying, I'm sorry, none of that. So, over Saturday, had time to cool down, called back on the Sunday, came on down and remained there till Monday early morning. And early morning Monday, once again, 3 a.m. onwards, going up to 3:30, there was a second argument falling out between Jack Newton, supposedly, and Noah Presgrove. What was it about this time? To do with possibly Noah talking to Carter Combs behind Jack's back, and Jack feels betrayed and feels like, is there an affair going on? Jealousy building. A bit of flirting as well. Can happen when people are drunk. Jack could be a bit paranoid as well and a bit protective. All kinds of emotions going on. Was the very first argument falling out on the Saturday the same thing which boiled over onto the early hours of Monday? Like a repeat of what happened Saturday, maybe. Maybe Jack was like, right, I hope you learnt your lesson, I hope you don't do it again. And then comes Monday, Noah supposedly wanting to sleep in one of the girls' bedrooms with or without a girl, and Jack gets triggered by that and he's like, enough is enough, why have you done it again? If that was the scenario. And then an argument breaking out. And it's likely an argument would have broken out more now than back then, considering Kaden has backed it up, saying that Jack was awake at the time with Noah present at the house and others. So whether the argument occurred inside of the house or followed outside of the house, this time round, there's a chance that Jack followed Noah, right? If you think about it, the first time round on the Saturday, and we'll do it street view just to change the imagery up. On the Saturday, when Jack was leaving, distancing himself from... when Noah Presgrove was leaving on the Saturday, distancing himself from Jack, Noah had his own vehicle. Okay? Apologies if I did get a little bit mixed up with certain names whilst I've been narrating. Hopefully I've not got it mixed up. Jack and Noah. Sometimes I almost say John or Jake. It's just, there's so many names going about. But what I'm getting at is the difference between the Saturday and the Monday of when Noah left the party is on the Saturday he had a vehicle to return back home to. Well, he used his vehicle to return back home. On the Monday, he had no vehicle, meaning he would have to walk all the way back home in the dark. And as impractical as that seems, if the argument and the situation was so bad for Noah to want to leave the house party early hours of the morning of Monday in the dark by himself with no vehicle and no pickup, that argument must have been bad enough for Noah to want to leave and be in a vulnerable situation. You get what I'm saying? Now, just before leaving, it was said that Noah wanted to be driven home by someone, because it just so happened that earlier on, going into the previous day, or going back to the previous day, Sunday, when originally Jack Newton invited Noah back to the party on the Sunday, Noah was driven down by a group of guys. He got a pick-up and driven down to the party. So that would mean the next time when Noah leaves, he would have to be driven back by someone, like a taxi service, kind of, If you get taken there by someone else's vehicle, you need to be taken back by the same person's or someone else's. You're not going to be walking back because of the distance, the time, and walking down a highway with no sidewalk, not a good idea at all. So, in a way, Sunday night going into Monday morning, Noah was in a tricky situation, because if anything bad did happen at the party, any arguments, any tension, any potential feelings of danger, in a way, Noah didn't really have much chance to escape or safety to escape, so that the only option he did have was to literally walk away or maybe run away onto an oncoming road, which could have traffic coming down on and off. Early hours of the morning, not as busy the road, but still, the odd truck, the odd vehicle would have posed as a danger. Now we know, not a hit and run and not a vehicle incident, so that's been ruled out based off the injuries, but you still get the idea. It's kind of like if you were being chased down by a gang of people, you're running down a passageway, you reach a dead end, a fence, you can climb over it, but there is barbed wire. Now, maybe you end up being found dead, but it wasn't caused from climbing the fence and over the barbed wire and getting caught and killed on that, but more so there was an obstacle which actually stopped you or prevented you or slowed you down, in which the people coming after you caught up to you and killed you. So in a situation where if someone from the party, familiar face or a stranger, was going after Noah, possibly as like a beating, well, Noah would have been on foot this time, so it would have been easier to catch up to Noah if anyone decided to get into one of their vehicles, right? See a long dirt road down there, Noah leaving the party at around 3:30 a.m, only then being reported at 3:41, about 11 minutes later, by Jasmine Milan, claiming on Snapchat, Noah's missing, where's he at? In a non-serious way. Was anyone else missing at that moment when Jasmine Milan at 3:41 stated Noah was nowhere to be seen? Was anyone else nowhere to be seen? Because as we heard, what's been talked about in the background supposedly, that at the time of when Noah left the party, Jack followed after him as the argument continued outside, right? How long for? How far down the road? Both on foot or one on foot, Noah, Jack in a vehicle? I wonder. That's where it's a bit of a grey area, right? So whether it be directly Jack or if there was somebody else afterwards, right? Because as we heard, it was worded, and I think, was it Kaden that mentioned it on another post, or was it Jack? I mean, if one said it, such as Jack, it might be harder to believe. If Kaden said it, it would be maybe easier to believe. But it has been worded that Noah, I guess, was one of the first ones to leave, and then after that, people followed after, like the Texas boys and some others. Did any of them go in the same direction as the way Noah was going? And how long after did they follow, or follow in the direction of leaving the party at least? Would they have caught up to Noah? Well, it depends what way Noah was walking in back to his place of living. And as for the Texas boys, they said if they were leaving, they would have gone south towards Texas and not north as to where the body of Noah was found. So there's that. But to link back to, like I was saying about if you've got obstacles along the way which could slow you down, you got a train crossing, being cautious of that maybe. Then the next thing, you got the oncoming traffic, if there was much at all, and the turn off point here. Then going straight onto a main highway, which is very dangerous on foot and kind of in the dark as well. So with these two little obstacles, slowing someone down possibly, anyone could have caught up with Noah. And as I said, do you think it's like a game of cat and mouse in which you got Noah on foot first, leaving the place, and then others following behind him, directly going after him? Who knows? But it's just interesting to hear from what Kaden has had to say, reinforcing that Jack was awake along with Noah and some others. So it's more likely that Jack did see more what was going on and may have heard more, and possibly reinforces more likely of an argument that did happen between Jack and Noah, and possibly Jack following Noah out. But even if that was the case, how far did Jack follow Noah down the road, for example? Right, all the way so far down, and then Noah was like, you know what, I've had enough, I'm leaving. And Jack says, good, don't come back. And then Jack walks back to the party. But then what happens after that? That's just a scenario. See, this is the thing. Just to refer back to the situation, and normally I mention this scenario later on in a case, but I think it's a fair point to mention. If you think about it, if Noah Presgrove wasn't denied of having transportation back to his place of living, if Noah was driven back by someone or the same people that took him to the party in the first place, then it's very likely that Noah would still be alive till this day. Or let's just say, maybe that's a bit too strong, there's a higher chance that Noah would have survived that party and would have survived the Monday. Would it have prevented his death for the future? I can't really say too much about that. When it came to the Dylan Rounds case, right? Dylan Rounds, that if Brenner was apprehended sooner, that 2021 aggravated assault on an old individual in Montello, Nevada, if that was followed up sooner and Brenner was arrested for that, meaning Brenner wouldn't have been around Dylan, fast forward into 2022, meaning Dylan would still be alive till this day. But as I said, that wouldn't guarantee Dylan Round's survival forever, because even when Brenner has served his time for that 2021 aggravated assault, he would have been released and he wouldn't have spent much time in prison or jail because of the actual charge it was, compared to what we've heard since of the second-degree murder, which would be longer years. So Brenner would have served his time, let's say in 2021, then comes 2022, Brenner's back at the Grainshed property, and then there's Dylan, and likely at some point Brenner would have snapped regardless, and Dylan would have been on the receiving end of it. And, like how people were saying, okay, what happens if it happened in 2022 in May, but before the 28th then, a few days before? Yeah, Dylan would have survived the 28th and he would still be alive till this day. Well, Dylan Rounds would still have been alive up to the point until Brenner was released, made it back to the property, and then at some point in the future, a different time, wrong place, same situation, a falling out, a dispute, and then Brenner would have still killed Dylan. in that situation, even if Brenner was apprehended a bit earlier and before the death of Dylan, it was inevitable, the death of Dylan Rounds. For as long as Dylan spent his time around Brenner, or at least present in Lucin, Utah, it was a death clock. Unless Dylan left the area and never returned back, then he would have been safe and he would have been still alive till this day. By remaining in the area but taking the killer out of the area temporarily, it only delays the inevitable, the death of Dylan Rounds, right? In terms of the Noah Presgrove situation, I don't know about that. If there was any long-term grudges, hatred, or long-term jealousy, there is a death clock timer in which at any point into the future, it could explode and someone could snap in the future. Due to the brutality of Noah Presgrove's injuries and the death of him, it was definitely, well, it seems like it was done with intent, and someone really, or some people, may have put a lot of energy into it to cause that much damage to Noah, if it's based off a possible beating and possibly by multiple individuals, right? It's not just a simple shot to the head. It's not a simple punch to the face and then hitting a rock when you fall over. It's a broken neck, broken back, broken bones, broken teeth, scalp ripped off. You don't accidentally do that for most part of it, and you don't even do that when you hit someone once or punch someone once. It's got to be done repeatedly to cause that much more damage and the internal bleeding as well. You got to go extreme to get the extreme results, right? So there would have been a strong feeling or a reason to do what someone or some people did to Noah. But in their mind, it was justified. But for what reason exactly? Some form of jealousy. All to do with Noah flirting with some girls at the party. Just for that reason? Or something deeper? Or something more long-term, which has been bubbling away in the background? What exactly? If it's such a situation of people at the party, unwelcomed guest, didn't get on well with Noah, didn't know Noah, and vice versa, you know, those random killings can happen. There doesn't always have to be a strong reason behind it. Or if there was anyone on the highway that came across Noah and did it to him randomly as well. So, we've heard the statement in the past that when someone dies or some form of foul play, it tends to be from another person that did know that victim at some point, whether it be a friend or a family member. That's how it's been worded in life. Does it apply within the Noah Presgrove case too? So, just to round up this video for now, based off your thoughts, providing Noah was murdered and it's based like that, a murder case, even though officially it's not been treated as one yet, if you was led to think or believe that it was a murder situation and foul play was involved, who do you think is responsible? You don't have to give a name, but vaguely, do you believe it's someone or some people that know Noah Presgrove, or do you think it's random people or those that might have been at the party who just don't know who Noah is? Based off that theme and pattern of what I said as for the statement of, normally when someone's killed and there's foul play, it's someone that they've known in life. Is that a situation here, or is it slightly different? Let me know your thoughts. Is there anything else I can comment on? Maybe not at this moment in time. I just wanted to add on to the story with what Kaden said. Okay, let me know your thoughts there. So, for Jack to say originally, oh, I was asleep, it's as if Jack was saying he was asleep, supposedly. Is it because something did happen at the party? Not so much the death, but the beginning of things escalating. And Jack didn't want to be held accountable for that, so his alibi was, oh, I was asleep. And when you're asleep, you don't hear, you don't see, you see no evil. But what Kaden has said, no, Jack was awake. And if Jack was awake at that time of the ATV incident flipping over, despite Jack saying, oh, I was asleep at that point, well, that's not the case, is it? What else did Jack see before Noah left the party? Jack was awake, as said by Kaden, and those little events, what we looked at today, led up to Noah leaving the property. In that span of time, within that 30-minute period, Jack was around Noah. What else did Jack see or hear? And why has he said he was asleep instead? Surely there must be something a bit fishy or suspicious that had gone on within that 30-minute period if Jack was wanting to say he didn't see or hear anything because he was asleep, even though he wasn't. Something must have happened for him to not tell the actual truth. Get what I'm saying? Hopefully it makes sense there. And just to summarise, once again, the reason as to when Noah was leaving, the reason why he was on foot, besides being driven down there in the first place, the reason why he wasn't driven back to his home by anyone, like a taxi service, is because when he reached out to one of the girls, Carter or Avery Combs, I think it was Carter rejected Noah. If earlier Noah wanted to sleep with her, maybe that's why Carter didn't want anything to do with Noah just at that moment, supposedly. Distanced themselves, maybe. Kind of understandable in a way. So then who else? Who else could give Noah a drive back? Kaden. But Kaden said himself on Facebook publicly that he couldn't and he had to turn it down because Kaden was drinking, hence why he was sleeping at about 3 a.m, sleeping it off. Knocked out, kind of, when you overdrink, right? Didn't want to get in trouble with the police, didn't want to be drinking and driving, so it's responsible. So in a way, Noah was left with no option but to walk on foot if he wanted to leave the party. And the situation must have been bad enough for Noah to want to leave when there's many other people to hang out with at the party, but with burning bridges down with his best friend Jack, that was bad enough and a strong enough reason to leave. That's what's so significant about it. One argument, depending how intense it is and what it's about, is enough for Noah to want to leave the party 2 separate times. 2 separate times. Are there 2 separate arguments, or is it on the same theme and it's just dragged on from Saturday up to Monday in the background? Interesting, isn't it? Be sure to let me know your thoughts and comments down below under this video. Feel free to like and share this video so more people see and hear about it, and of course from what Kaden has said, and let me know your thoughts down below. And if you want to, feel free to subscribe to the channel and make sure to have the notifications turned on, so then you'll be, and hopefully, informed of new videos to come on my channel. And as for the analysis of the house party footage, I was considering doing that today, but I didn't want to rush it because it is a bit deeper than I thought. And upon playing it back several times, I did notice a couple of things and it kind of overlapped with one another. Within a 20-second clip, in terms of conversations, so much happened and it's trying to process it all. I'll have to break it down bit by bit, but I'll have to rewatch the footage, plan it out, and then record. And that can be for another day. Be on the lookout for that. Any more news and updates that come along the way, more important, they'll come first. There is always an order to when it comes to uploading stuff. And last but not least, I saw a random comment recently by another default profile channel commenting on one of my previous videos saying, it's good that this fellow is doing videos on his case, but God, he doesn't talk. He talks a lot and he doesn't get to the point immediately. I mean, when a case is deep and when there's a lot to talk about, non-negotiable. Whatever the time of the video is, it is what it is because there's stuff to talk about. You want it short, you want it snappy, yeah, you can get that, but you won't like it. Because as said, when humans demand or want something, when they finally get it and things are changed, they still complain. So screw them, natural selection. Thanks to those that did watch, and shout out to people in recent time if you have supported the channel, much appreciated. Feel free to check my previous videos out and even my community post available on my community tab page if you go onto my channel. I'll see you for now. Look out for any more videos. Goodbye and good night.